Come on, everybody.
This is the Xbox 360, the original model to be specific. It was Microsoft's attempt to move gaming into the HD realm, and they are very successful at doing so. So successful in fact, that the Xbox 360 was able to secure its place in the top 10 best-selling consoles of all time. To find out why the Xbox 360 was so memorable, we first need to go back to 2005. The Xbox 360 was launched on November 22nd, 2005. Accompanying it was a fairly balanced set of games which all had one thing in common. They all showed the potential of HD gaming. In the first week of release, the Xbox 360 sold 350,000 units, which caused major unit shortages. It got to the point where it became nearly impossible to find the console. That was for a good reason. Compared to the original Xbox, and you can see how much of an overhaul this console really was. Design aside, the Xbox 360 was a monumental spec upgrade over the original. Instead of using standard computer components like the original, the Xbox 360 opted for a tri-core PowerPC processor. This enabled games to expand their scope far beyond the confinements of the last generation's hardware. Assisting the PowerPC processor was ATI's Xenos graphics chip, which was based off the Radeon X1800 XL graphics card. The graphics card shares a 512 megabyte pool of system RAM, which was more than adequate for the time. Basically, the Xbox 360 was comparable with relatively high-end gaming PCs from the time, and considering the $399 price point, it certainly was hard to beat. With all those specs and a relatively small body, you're probably wondering how the Xbox 360 keeps itself cool. Well, it doesn't, at least not at first. First reports of the Xbox 360's hardware failure were made within days of release, and that was just the beginning.
Some faulty Xbox 360s are literally melting down while running certain games. A big holiday headache from Microsoft.
A few months ago, Microsoft extended its warranties of its Xbox 360 consoles and set aside $1 billion to fix those that were broken.
By the time 2009 came around, 12% of all Xbox 360s ever sold were found to be defective, which wasn't too great for sales figures. So what even caused the red ring of death? Well, the problem comes back to what made the Xbox 360 so appealing in the first place, the high-end specs. Microsoft failed to provide adequate cooling to the processor and graphics chip, resulting in either of the two to heat up to the point of desoldering and coming loose from the motherboard. This issue could have been solved extremely easily by adding more copper tubing and adjusting how the cooler sits on the chips. Microsoft, as expected, didn't do that, and instead left consumers to figure out solutions for themselves before caving into a $1 billion loss. And as you probably know, consumers can get creative. The most popular DIY trick was to wrap the powered-on console in a towel so it got absolutely no air intake. It might be horrible for the chips, but at least the extreme heat re-adheres the dislodged processor. This was the most common solution out there. The problem is the chips would desolder again after just a few days, leaving you to reuse the towel method until the chips themselves died of overheating. In 2010, Microsoft finally refreshed the Xbox 360 with a design that was able to cool itself properly. In addition to looking more modern and sleek, the Xbox 360 was often bundled with the Kinect. Microsoft tried emulating the Wii, which at the time was doing quite well, and aside from some initial success, it completely flopped. By the time the Xbox 360 was discontinued in 2016, 11 years after release, there have been 84 million consoles sold and 1,233 games published on the platform. We'll be looking at some extremely impressive newer games. Some of the next-gen console ports on the 360 are truly impressive.
Go back, Jonah! Get to shelter!
suspect, over. Stop. Put him inside. How'd that happen? Go, 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 go! Jeez, I think they're gonna... Look, Yoko spotted! Guys,
let's get to the chopper! We move quick, we can beat the train!
cops! Coming our way!
Be cool! They ain't made this car yet!
We're getting there!
Roadblock! Go right! Beat the train, man!
At the end of the day, the Xbox 360 was an impressive console that packed cutting-edge specs into a small form factor. It had its many physical flaws and manufacturing issues, however after quite a few product redesigns, the Xbox 360 was refined into something quite special. Anyway, that'll be for this video. What are your experiences with the Xbox 360 or the 7th generation consoles in general? Comment down below, like and subscribe, it helps me out so much, and thanks so much for watching through my remembrance of the Xbox 360.